Hi everyone. My partner Rain and I, um, we've been working on a really big project, like dissecting Death Stranding and interviewing people and this whole other thing, and it's still in the works, and we don't know when it's going to be done yet, but we're so excited about it. We just wanted to share. So this following conversation is, I guess, a bit of a teaser of what you can expect to come from us in the future. Hope you enjoy.
I'll read the whole paragraph towards the end, second to last paragraph. Uh, I'd been moving at a steady clip when I saw it. Chiralium coming off of Daddy, little motes of shimmering light. I was out of time. I laid him down in the dirt.
Before I let go, I had a vision. My hand, still resting on his body, disappeared, vaporized into a fine mist. Poof. Then I felt another presence. A BT coming slow but sure, like it had been walking since the beginning of time. Daddy's keeper. These words feel so deliberate. I know sometimes like things can get mistranslated because like it's from a different language, but these feel so specific. I can't quite grasp what the whole hands turning into mist thing is. But the last part, talking about a BT walking since but sure, like it had been walking since the beginning of time. Daddy's keeper.
This was
I
what number was this? 26.
26. It's the very last journal before Hicks's coffin journals. Um, I think like since the beginning of time, Daddy's keeper. So like obviously it's a BT that's connected to his father, and it's also connected to the beginning of time. And I was wondering if because like if BTs are the undead or what have you, or bad concepts, things we need to face, things that cause negative things to happen, like could if it's since the beginning of time, could it be power? Could it be murder? Could it be death?
Well, BTs are caused by those who meet a violent end. Like those.
You think
It's
so? It's
not
always a violent end.
not violent as in like the physically violent sense, but violent in like the
It
broader
wasn't it
philosophical
wasn't
sense.
accepted.
Yeah, it's preventable. It's preventable harm. It's trauma. Like because like there will always be hurt and pain in the world because life happens. There are things outside of our control. Like
Right.
natural like you know, um, but we can choose how we respond to that, and we can also choose if we want to take actions that will cause that kind of harm. So in like the utopian society, it's not a world without pain or without hurt. It's a world without needless pain and hurt, and it's a world in which we have systems in place to assist one another through that pain and hurt.
You you yes. I think I can add on because like one thing that I'm missing and that I need to do more research into is because kept talking about life and death, and like very important things. Like when he was talking about making the game, he was talking about looking at stranded like whales and shit, and seeing how terrible that was, and like thinking about the other world being on the other side of that and all this, and so like I that's something I have to try to remember to lean in, and I think. And like you talking about that, I think it is exactly what you said, and like death, loss, and things like that. It's like terrible things, but also like actual inevitable loss, anyways. Because another thing that Danny pointed out that I couldn't piece together was towards the end when you let BB live. there's white BBs that were incinerated before BB,
Yeah.
like that are there, like white BTs. Like, why white BTs? White BTs also help you, like they also spawn and help your vehicle get out of a position.
Yeah.
Like, white BTs are seen in other places. I'm trying to remember, but I can't think of right now.
The Sam's ghosts in fights are white BTs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Precisely. Those are, yes. I didn't even put that together, but those are probably white BTs too. And I think it is specifically recontextualizing loss and hurt as something positive, instead of ignoring the fact that all the babies were fucking murdered and just putting it off as a tragic loss that's just got to keep happening.
Mhm.
Sam let BB out, and that recontextualize, and like that's when the white BBs come out, because I think it's literally saying, it's like you're not letting the loss be contextualized as some terrible thing. Like, you're learning from it.
Yeah.
Because if by your logic BTs are tragedies that have happened in the past, then white BTs are tragedies that we've like learned from.
And that have like turned into okay, yeah. I see that.
They're mistakes. They're realized as the tragedy.
They're mistakes. Oh my gosh. Because the Sam ghost helping you in fights. Where does that stuff come from? It's probably other people
that have
died. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Now you get it. Oh, thank you. Now I don't just feel like a fucking person with red string tied everywhere. This is what I mean. Like, yeah, there's the occasional weird like corporate practice and like touchy things here and there, but like everything else is good belief, good faith, good discussion, good philosophy. Like, it's thoughtful shit.
Yeah. No, I think a lot of the messaging in the game is really good, and like very, art reacting to its time. So it's very poignant. It's very useful right now.
And this is what I mean, where it's kind of like it's somewhat of a refinement of beliefs, because Hidio's from day one, Hidio's been working with those things in his art, and MGS and all those things are talking about the atrocities of the government and all these things, and death and life and devotion and love and all these, and the future generations, like that's what MGS4 was about. Like this is exactly what I mean about like this game is the solution. It's like this game is teaching to learn from your mistakes, to have faith in others, to take off the mask, to trust other people, to support other people, to only, like, just like the end of the cuts, just like the end of the game, it's to only have social systems if they benefit you. Do not let them be handcuffed to you.
Yeah.
Literally or metaphorically.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. That's what I've been trying to figure out, is BT slowly coming slow but sure, like it had been walking since the beginning of time. Daddy's keeper. Like, I want, like, that's what I mean. Is it power or is it death? Because he held power over. Because his father held power over him. But you could also say it's fear. You could also, because his father exerted power because he was scared. Because the father was scared. It was the shittiest behavior, but it had a root cause. So I don't know if it's just strictly power or if it's fear. If it's fear itself causing the power dynamics, which leads to murder.
Where's this line? What paragraph is it in?
Journal 26, second to last paragraph. Your contextualization as them being not trauma but tragedy is very on point, and it changed the context of the very last paragraph as well. That was the first one I sensed, but it wasn't the last. For a long while after, I remained awakened to their presence, a sixth sense. Daddy's parting gift to me. Over time, it'd fade, but I knew how I got it, and I knew how to get it back. All I needed was another body, and I got really good at making it. Death for life. Theirs for mine. A fair exchange. That, yeah. Yes, I think it might be death or the fear of death.
Because that, like, this is a shift from the character from seeing the world in, like, an egalitarian, we gotta help each other and band together to survive this thing, to a dog-eat-dog, hierarchical,
Yes.
competitive.
Yes.
Yeah. And so Daddy's Keeper, so, like, the BTs is, like, the physical manifestation of that fear and trauma and pain. It's like, so I think like BTs are like literally ghosts, because like in lore, in like not Death Stranding lore, ghosts being, you know, unrested souls, people with unfinished business, people who have experienced traumatic events, and then like looking into like the genre of horror as like a very uniquely queer space, especially in cinema, and like the like basically how horror, or like horror is a genre in which like minority experience, like there's, I don't know, I'm the fuck, what's their YouTube channel called, Somerton, the gay cinemaphiles who make movies. I'll figure it out at some point. But like the link between queerness and horror culture, and how like those monsters are formed of trauma, formed of hurt, or like even going to like Mary Shelley's Frankenstein and Frankenstein's monster, and how like Frankenstein's monster is an incredibly compelling character, like a sympathetic character, because it's like it's this guy who gets like poofed into existence and is like, who am I? What am I doing? I have needs. Please help me fulfill these needs. And then because he looks ugly and he's tall and like he's made from dead people, everyone freaks the fuck out. And then he's like, wow, humans are assholes. I fuck humans. And then he kills a bunch of people. And it, like, not like vindictively, just like they're being incredibly like they're being violent towards him, and so he reacts violently.
Yeah. It's reciprocation.
Yeah.
No, that's yes. Frankenstein would be like the pre-game to Death Stranding.
Yeah. But yeah, so like I think it makes sense because it's like in lore of the game, like BTs are like an actual physical thing. But I think in the metaphor of the game, of like what it's trying to say about our reality, is it's trauma and
because I was trying to
restless
I was
ghosts.
trying to explain that to people. It's like the metaphor, like, but you put it. I think you put it a little bit more succinctly. It is death. It is the fear of death. It is loss and actual people that have gone from this world. But it is also the trauma imparted on them, the trauma imparted on each other, mistakes made throughout society. It's both.
Yeah, it's not just one thing. It's a little bit of this, a little bit of that.
Yes. That's this whole game. That's why it's so hard to explain to people. Like a lot of people hear the mules and like hear their very flimsy like excuse for existing. It's like, oh, automation happened, and then everyone was pissed, and then so we gave them easy jobs, and now they're just addicts. And it's like, that's a shitty, flimsy excuse. But like, you have to think about why they're in the game compared to everything else, and it's showcasing why to do things. The reason why is important. You can't just do things. It's trying to impart on the player, don't just deliver packages mindlessly. like see what happens when you just do it mindlessly.
Yeah.
It's supposed to also point out like we need things, we need human connections, we need a reason why. Like automation's not a bad thing, but if we let it replace all of the human aspects of our life, it is.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
Like,
I think that's really topical, especially with like the whole AI art thing
Yes,
going on right
yes.
now. Yeah.
This is what I mean. It's like looking at like CinemaSins and being like, oh, that's a dumb reason, that's a loophole. It's like, and just focusing on that isn't useful because
Yeah.
like, yeah, mules have a flimsy excuse for why they exist, but wow, the beliefs and philosophy for why they're there in the first place is beautiful and human and thoughtful.
Yeah. And I also think in like mules are also like representative of like Western work culture, I guess.
Yes.
And like the people
We need to work.
or like grind culture even.
Live to work, not
Yeah.
work to live.
Yeah, exactly.
That is yes.
Yeah.
Mules are the embodiment of that. We'll knock people out and shit. We don't give a fuck. We just gotta work. We gotta work.
And I think that's like a really cool thing that the game does. Is because I really like how the combat is justified. Like, it is one of the first games I have played that includes violence, but doesn't make the violence feel gratuitous.
Yeah, it's a lot of the times it's not even necessary. You're just passing through the territory
Yeah.
and you can explore.
I mean, like,
But also, when you need to do it, it's because like they're literally hoarding resources. They're hoarding resources that you're trying to give to the masses.
yeah, exactly. And it's like, and it frames this like work culture mindset as the enemy, but not the enemy in the traditional sense. Like this game, I think, does a really good job of like reframing what it means to have an enemy. And like in this game, an enemy is not this great evil to be expunged. An enemy is a problem, like a temporary problem that you can engage with, like at varying degrees. And like you have a rule set, like you have an ethics code outside of the enemy scope. Like death is bad just in general, and it has nothing to do with
Yes.
what the person you're fighting is like. Death is bad regardless. So period. So that like really changes the combat dynamic. Like it really disincentivizes the use of, lethality, and it also changes like, oh, it's like, okay, well maybe I do want to try stealthing this mission, or maybe I do want to try just like sprinting in and out because like I have that capability and I'll be okay. And like there's not a need to engage with physical violence. Like sometimes you do it because it's a video game and it's fun, or maybe on rare occasions it's like the best
Precisely.
way. But most of the time, you have the option of not, and that's generally the better option.
Well, Higgs calling to attention. If Higgs is calling to attention, like the fact that he's a video game aspect, just a thing to fight,
Mhm.
like then that kind of, and he controls BT, is that kind of like it kind of reinforces the idea that the boss battles, the catchers and whatnot, are a gamey aspect too. Like and like a lot of combat is a gamey aspect. It's not an end-all solution. And I think the mules and stuff are that way too.
Yeah.
It's a weird game that includes enemies to fight, to show you, to get you to the point where you realize that you don't need to fight enemies.
Yeah. Well, I think like that's part of the brilliance of it is like this like I think that's something that Kojima's been really good at trying to do in his in the Ludo narrative of his games, is like meet players where they're at. So he's making games to be popular in like heavily militant, or not militant, but like militarized cultures in which violence is the norm.
Yeah,
in which
and partly
violence
it's
is
because he grew to like the culture himself, but some of it, a lot of it, I think, is very intentional. He only included a bunch of guns and stuff because of that. Because I mean, when the game released, he pointed to, like, oh, you know, the reason why it failed was because Western culture likes gun culture too much. And it's like yeah, I kind of people poo-pooed that, but thinking it was lowbrow. But I mean, what's the top seller in the U.S.? A lot of it's shooters.
Yeah. Yeah.
But and like another way he uses that is through the bridge link system and the likes and stuff, because the veteran porter literally calls it out as bullshit. And like, why would the game call its own mechanics out as bullshit? Like, and my thought process is it's literally to incentivize you like a social system to play the game. But in the end, these systems to give you dopamine are trying to reinforce not the dopamine at the end, but you putting effort and struggling and frustrating. And
It's like it's like a reverse casino.
Yes. Yes.
They're gonna use all of the tricks to get you there, but instead of trying to keep you inside spending money forever, they're trying to like get you out in the world doing stuff.
Yes, it's using a Skinner box to incentivize not using Skinner boxes.
Yeah, or not even like not using Skinner boxes, because the thing is proving that like, okay, we know how to like manipulate the human psyche to a pretty astounding degree. What happens if we what happens if we do it for not shitty purposes? What if we make a video game that has like pretty well thought out and like good, air quotes, good like ethics and values, and like can we instill those on players? And like
if you even remotely get near an object, and it'll give an auto like, basically. Like if you use a ladder, it'll get an auto like. It's like you get likes for picking stuff up, you get likes for donating stuff. Everyone's constantly congratulating you for doing a good job, and people originally play the game and they either think it's too heavy-handed or they're like, yay, or whatever. Like, and like, but it's there for a reason. It's there to remind you that like good work pays off, but it's also there to give you that dopamine hit so you can keep going.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so glad I don't feel like a crazy person anymore. Oh.
No, I think you're fucking spot on. Like your analysis has been so good this entire time, and it's like legitimately what's gotten me to play the game. was just sitting and listening to your analysis. I'm like, I gotta see what she's talking about.
It seems so insane on the outside because it's just like, well, you're just walking a bunch and delivering packages with just player tags on it. What? That seems boring. It's like, no.
So like that's one of the things that like I've had to learn in healing through my trauma, and like coming from the background I did is like it's not a Sean Bean quote. It's a quote from Civ, and he narrated it, but it's the drama is just life with the boring bits cut out. And like I have to remind myself a lot that like those boring bits, like, it's about the journey, not the destination, basically. It's the boring bits that actually make up life. And like the core of like, yeah, you go and deliver packages and you get likes and stuff, but like the reason this game is fun is because the core mechanics are engaging, and like exploring, walking around, like the organic problem solving of pathfinding. Yeah.
Everything forces you to engage. You have to deliberately pick up the baby to soothe it. Like you have to use 3 buttons to soothe the baby. Like what people think is a terrible thing in the game is meant to immerse you in the game and enjoy it and appreciate it and like get connected with it.
Yeah.